The human soldier opened his eyes slowly. Everything was bright. Too bright. He blinked several times, trying to understand where he was. The light above him wasn't natural. It was cold, white, and painful. He tried to move, but something stopped him. He looked around. He was inside a strange room. No, not a room, a cage. Its walls were made of glowing white lines that floated in the air like laser beams. There were no doors, no windows, just light and silence. His head hurt. His chest felt heavy. He touched his body. His armor was gone. He was wearing a thin black suit, like something medical. He felt small metal ports on his arms and neck. Machines had touched him, changed him. His name, what was his name? He remembered Captain Jace Ward, Earth Forces, Elite Squad 17. Last mission. Attack the enemy outpost on planet Virex 9. There had been gunfire. Explosions, aliens. And then, nothing. I should be dead, he whispered. But he wasn't. A low hum filled the air. Jace looked up. Above the cage, strange creatures moved behind glass walls. Tall aliens with long heads, skin like silver, stone, and glowing blue eyes. They were watching him. He shouted, "Where am I? What do you want?" They didn't reply. One of the aliens raised a hand, and a screen appeared in front of the cage. On it, a symbol glowed, a triangle with a red circle in the center. The screen showed alien writing, then translated into English. "You are the champion of Blood Trial 7. Your reward will now be delivered." Jace frowned. Reward? What reward? The floor vibrated. A small door opened at the back of the cage. From the shadows, someone walked in. It was a woman. She wasn't human. Not exactly. She had silver skin that shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes were large and violet. Her hair was long and dark blue, falling down her back like water. She wore a flowing dress, but her wrists and neck were locked in glowing cuffs like energy chains. She looked beautiful and dangerous. She walked to the center of the cage, then knelt down in front of Jace. Her voice was soft but clear. "I belong to you now, Master." Jace stepped back. "What the hell is this?" "I am your reward," she said. "The trial chose you. Now I serve you." "No," he said firmly. "I don't need a slave." The alien woman looked up, confused. "Refusing the gift is not allowed." Jace turned to the watchers above. "Is this a game to you? You think I fought and bled so I could own someone?" The aliens didn't answer. But the screen flashed again. "Bonding must complete within one cycle. Refusal will result in termination." He stared at the message, termination. "They'll kill us both," she said quietly. Jace looked at her closely. "You don't want this, do you?" She hesitated, then whispered, "No, but I have no choice." There was silence between them. Then, slowly, she reached for his hand. Her skin felt warm, soft, not like metal, but not human either. "My name is Alira," she said. "Please, pretend, for now." The walls around them pulsed with light. The aliens were watching, recording, maybe even enjoying this. "All right," Jace said, "I'll play along. But just know I'm not your master, and we're getting out of here." Alira looked at him with wide eyes. A spark of hope lit her face, then quickly disappeared. She gave a slight nod. Suddenly, the cage lights turned red. An alarm sounded. "What's happening now?" Jace asked. She stood quickly. "They're starting the next phase. The bonding chamber will open." A deep voice echoed through the room, like a machine speaking inside his head. "Prepare for fusion scan." Before Jace could speak, a beam of light shot down from the ceiling and covered them both. His body froze. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. He felt something crawling through his mind, scanning his memories, his thoughts, his blood. He heard Alira scream, and then blackness. Jac. E. Ward gasped as light poured back into his eyes. His body felt heavy, like it had been crushed under a mountain and rebuilt piece by piece. Every breath burned. His muscles ached. His thoughts felt slower, like his brain was rebooting. He sat up quickly, too quickly, and dizziness struck him like a wave. His vision swam. But then he saw her again. Ely Ray. She sat across the glowing cage, hands resting on her knees, silver. Chains still wrapped around her wrists. But now she looked different. Not just calm but exhausted, as if she had just survived a storm no one else could see. What happened? Jace asked. Illyra turned to him. Her voice was soft, but her words were sharp. The fusion scan is complete. Our bond has started. Fusion? Bond? He repeated, blinking. What are you talking about? You mean that light show? That mind invasion? She nodded slowly. It links us. Not just in body but memory. Emotion, thought. They do it to ensure obedience and control. Jace rubbed the side of his head. Why me? Why any of this? You won, she said. That's all they care about. The blood trials choose the strongest warrior. You survived when others died. That makes you their champion. He stood up, fists clenched. I never asked for any of this. I don't want to be anyone's champion, and I definitely don't want a slave. Illyra's eyes softened, but pain flickered behind them. I was not always a slave. I used to be a fighter, a commander. I led my people in war. Then I lost, and they made me this. She touched the glowing cuffs on her wrists. They broke my mind, my will, piece by piece, until I became the reward. Jay stared at her, something twisting in his chest, anger, guilt, confusion. He took a deep breath. Then we're both prisoners. Illyra tilted her head. You may feel that way, but you're still free in their eyes. That's why it must look like we're bonding. If you reject me, they'll kill us both. Jace narrowed his eyes. Why? Why go through all this? The fake reward, the ritual, the fusion scan? She stood and walked slowly toward the edge of the cage. Beyond the light, distant shadows moved, watching, listening. They are not just aliens, she whispered. They are collectors. They treat war like a game. They study other races, combine them, improve them. They think of us as pieces. Jace looked around. This whole place is like a lab. A zoo, Illyra corrected. Then something changed. The floor shook beneath them. A mechanical hiss echoed from above, and the ceiling split open. A hovering drone floated down, its arms carrying a tray of silver objects. One looked like a collar, the other something like a needle. Illyra's face went pale. It's time for the final stage. Final stage of what? The collar is symbolic, but the needle, it changes your biology. It finishes the fusion. Once done, your DNA will match mine. You will no longer be fully human. Jace stepped back. No way, that's not happening. They'll force it, she said. If you resist, they'll inject you anyway and erase your mind. The drone beeped. A voice echoed again, cold, robotic, emotionless, present for bonding. Inject sequence begins in 30 seconds. Jace looked at the collar, the needle, the drone. Then at Illyra. What happens if we play along? For now, we survive, she answered, and we plan, quietly, carefully. He nodded once. Slowly. Then step forward. I'll do it, he said loudly. The drone paused. The needle retracted. The tray lowered. Jace picked up the collar. It hummed softly in his hand. He turned to Illyra. She stood motionless, eyes locked on his. I'm sorry, he whispered. He placed the collar gently around her neck. It clicked. The cuffs on her wrists dissolved into glowing dust. The drone beeped in approval and floated back into the ceiling. Silence. Illyra looked at him, surprised. You could have refused, she said. You could have let them force it, but you didn't. I'm not going to be like them, Jace said. We'll play along. But only long enough to figure a way out. Suddenly, the walls of the cage began to fade. Not vanish, but become transparent. Jace stepped back in shock. Beyond the cage rows and rows of other cages, just like there's in them. Other beings, some human, some not, some broken. Some angry, they were not alone, and the watchers above? They were recording everything, broadcasting it. Eli Rhea spoke quietly. This is their show. We are the stars now, heroes, lovers, slaves, champions. All of it, entertainment. Jace clenched his fists. Then let's give them a show they'll never forget. The cage had become a stage. Jace Ward stood silently beside Alira as the glowing walls faded, revealing an endless sea of other cages, each one holding a different being. Some looked human. Others were twisted shapes of alien flesh. But all of them shared the same look in their eyes: hopelessness. Above them, massive screens showed their faces, broadcasting their every move like a twisted reality show. Alien voices echoed in the distance, reacting to their actions with excitement, laughter, or cold analysis. Jace hated it. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He was a performer in a prison made of light. But he wasn't done fighting. Not yet. Alira moved to the far corner of their space. Her fingers tapped on the floor in a pattern, soft, fast, precise. Jace noticed it but didn't speak. The watchers were always listening. What are you doing? He asked calmly. Testing, she whispered. There's a pulse in the floor. A hidden path. I think there's a way down. A way down to... Where? She looked up at him, her violet eyes gleaming. Beneath the city. Later that cycle, their living chamber changed. The cage's light turned soft, and part of the floor shifted downward like an elevator. The screen above them lit up. Rewarded pair number 7, temporary rest phase. The voice was flat, robotic, and lifeless. But what it offered was real. The cage descended, and the city above revealed itself. What Jace saw next made his skin crawl. The city was beautiful floating towers, glowing bridges, alien statues taller than skyscrapers. Every wall shimmered with color. Every street sparkled with artificial starlight. But it was fake. The people weren't walking. They were marching. The lights weren't welcoming. They were watching. The beauty hid a machine. And everyone was a part of it. Their new room was shaped like a large, egg-smooth walls, no corners, no windows. In the center sat a floating disc that served as a bed. Beside it, a silver wall flickered to life. It showed ratings. Jace's face appeared with numbers. Next to it, combat score, 9.6, bonding score, 6.2, viewer interest, rising. He frowned. They're grading us? Alira nodded. The better we perform, the more freedom they give. The more freedom, the more chances we'll have to escape. She moved to the wall and tapped lightly. It responded only for her. I was born in this system, she said. I know some of their codes. If I can find the right frequency, we can access the maintenance shafts. And go where? She turned to him. Below, where the real secrets. Ah. That night, if night even existed in this place, they waited until the cameras in their room blinked off for system reset. 30 seconds. That's all they had. Alira moved fast. She tapped the wall in a rhythm Jace didn't understand, but it worked. A small section slid open with a soft hiss. Behind it, a tunnel. Dark, narrow, breathing. Let's go, she whispered. Jace hesitated only for a second, then followed her in. They crawled for what felt like an hour. The tunnel was damp, warm, and alive with strange sounds, clicks, hums, whispers that weren't quite voices. As they moved deeper, the light above them faded and the air grew colder. Then, they reached the lower sector. And everything changed. First thing Jace saw was a body, a human, pale, lifeless, floating in a glass tube filled with green liquid. His eyes were open but empty. Wires ran through his chest, arms, even skull. More tanks lined the walls. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Men, women, some still breathing, some not. Are these? Jace whispered. Test subjects, Alira replied. Failed. Pairs, broken minds. Some tried to escape. Some refused a fusion. This is where they end up. Jace stepped back. This wasn't just a lab. It was a graveyard of experiments. He felt sick. And then he heard it, a soft voice. Help. Me. He spun around. One of the tanks was cracked. A hand pressed weakly against the glass. Inside was a human. A man, mid-30s, military tattoos. Pale skin, eyes half open. He was alive. Alira ran to the controls. He's conscious. He's not supposed to be. Jace shouted, "Get him out!" She hesitated. If we break the seal, they'll know. The Watchers will send guards. I don't care. Do it. Alira touched the controls. The tank hissed, then cracked open. The liquid spilled across the floor. The man collapsed forward, and Jace caught him. He coughed violently, gasping for air. Then, slowly, he looked up. His eyes glowed faint blue. You, he said. You're already too late. Jace froze. What do you mean? The man's voice was hoarse, but full of fear. They're not just watching. They're downloading, learning. Every moment you speak, fight, even think, they store it to replicate you. Alira whispered, the hybrids. The man nodded weakly. They don't need armies anymore. They just need copies. You, her, all of us. Versions built to serve. His hand trembled as he pointed down a narrow hallway. Storage chamber, hidden files, proof. Then his eyes closed. Heartbeat gone. Jac. He stood slowly. His fists clenched. How long do we have? Alira's voice was cold now, hard. Not long. Once they find the broken tank, they'll come. Jace looked down the hallway and made a choice. Then let's go see what they're hiding. Jace moved like a shadow through the narrow hallway, each step careful, quiet, sharp. Alira followed close behind, her silver skin glowing faintly in the darkness. The body of the human soldier they had just rescued now dead lay far behind them. But his last words echoed in Jace's mind like thunder. They're copying you. That single sentence had changed everything. No longer was this just a prison or a lab. This place was a factory that was building them. The corridor twisted downward, carved into the metal like an old service tunnel. It wasn't made for public view. This wasn't the shiny world the aliens showed on their screens. This was their hidden truth. The walls were covered in wires. Some pulsed with green light. Others oozed strange black fluid. Jace didn't know what was alive and what wasn't anymore. After a while, they came to a round hatch. Alira pressed her hand against the lock. The panel blinked red. Locked? Jace asked. No, she said. It's scanning me. A second. Later clicked. The hatch opened. The room beyond was cold and quiet. Unlike the rest of the alien city, there were no lights, no cameras. Just rows of floating data cores, each humming softly. The air smelled sterile, electric, dead. Jace stepped inside first, his soldier instinct alert. What is this place? Alira moved to a tall control pillar in the center. This is where they keep the original codes, raw fusion data. DNA models. Test logs, all of it. If we find the right core, we'll know what they're building, and why. She slid her hand along the console. Lights flickered to life. Jace looked around. The room was filled with thousands of glowing crystals. Each one labeled with alien symbols and numbers. How do we know which one is ours? We don't, she said, but I know how to find mine. Jace turned to her, confused. Yours? Alira's face grew tense. She avoided his gaze. I wasn't just made to be your reward, Jace. I was designed to be your match. Your equal. They took pieces of your DNA and added it to me. He stared at her in shock. You're saying, I have your blood in me, she said quietly. In a way, I'm not fully alien anymore. I'm something else. Jace took a step back, trying to process her words. Everything about this place felt wrong, fake, engineered. And now, even the only person he trusted was part of their plan. You knew this? He asked. She looked away. I found out after the first scan. That's why I screamed. I felt it, the human code inside me, your code. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Because you wouldn't have trusted me, she said. You would have thought I was lying, that I was one of them. Silence filled the room like smoke. Then, Illyra pulled a core from the wall. It glowed red. This is mine, she said. If you want the truth, it's inside here. Jace looked at the core. He had a choice now, trust her or walk away. He took the crystal and placed it in the console. The screen blinked, then filled with images. Video logs. Illyra, standing naked inside a tank. Dozens of scientists around her, speaking in alien tongues. Then, English translations appeared. Subject 9 a human hybrid female. Base model, Illyra. DNA splicing successful. Human specimen Captain Jace Ward, selected as primary genetic donor. Behavior modifications in progress. Purpose, companion class alpha. Combat capable. Emotion linked. Loyalty engine. Installed. Jace stared at the words, horrified. They had built her for him, designed her, engineered her, programmed her to obey, to care, to fight, to love. I'm sorry, Illyra whispered, tears in her voice. They made me to be perfect for you, but I didn't choose this. Jace didn't respond right away. He closed his eyes. Breathed. Then opened them. It's not your fault, he said. You didn't ask to be made. But they're going to pay for what they did to you, to all of us. Suddenly, the lights in the room flashed red. An alarm began to blare. Unauthorized data access detected. They found us, Illyra said. Footsteps echoed from above. Metal boots. Dozens. Jace grabbed her arm. We're not done yet. He pointed at a large device in the back of the room. What's that? She squinted. It's a backup transmitter. If we can upload this data to an external beacon, maybe someone out there can help. Can you do it? I think so, she said. But it'll take time. I'll give you that, Jace. Sighed. He pulled a stun rod from the wall and took position near the hatch. The first alien soldier dropped in like a shadow. Jace moved fast. Slam. The rod hit the alien's chest. Electricity burst through its body. It collapsed, twitching. 2 more came. Jace fought like a machine, fast, focused, brutal. Illyra worked behind him, her fingers dancing on the console. More soldiers came, too many. Jace gritted his teeth. He was bleeding now, almost done. Illyra shouted. Suddenly, a larger figure dropped from the ceiling. This one wasn't a normal guard, it was a replica. Of him. Jace froze as the thing looked at him. Same face, same eyes. Same scar on the chin, but colder, stronger, engineered. The clone spoke. Original. Unit identified. Deletion authorized. And it charged. Jace barely dodged the first strike. The clone moved like lightning, no hesitation, no fear, no pain. It wasn't human. It was better. But Jace had one advantage. He had purpose. He fought with heart. With fury, with memories. And he fought for Illyra. Behind him, the transmitter beeped. Illyra screamed. It's done. The signal is sent. The clone tackled Jace to the ground. Its hands locked around his throat. Jace reached for the stun rod. Too far. Illyra grabbed it and stabbed the clone through the spine. It screamed, then exploded. In sparks, smoke filled the room. Jace coughed, crawling to his feet. You okay? Illyra asked. He nodded. Then the wall behind them cracked open. More enemies were coming, but Jace only smiled. Let them come, he said. Now the galaxy knows what's happening here. Illyra smiled too, but her smile faded fast. She looked down. At her arm, a thin black vein pulsed beneath her silver skin. She touched it, then looked at Jace. They injected something into me during the fusion, she whispered. Something that wasn't in the data. Jace stepped closer. What is it? She met his eyes. I think I'm changing. Asterisk silence lingered in the room like smoke after a fire. Jace Ward stood beside Illyra, the corpse of his own clone. Twitching at their feet. Sparks popped from broken metal, the scent of burnt circuits thick in the air. Red emergency lights flashed across the room, casting sharp shadows that made everything feel unreal. But it was all very real, and the war was no longer about escape. It was about survival. Illyra sat against the wall, her breath shaky, her hand pressed against the pulsing black vein under her skin. I feel it growing, she whispered. Something is inside me now, changing me. Jace knelt beside her. You said the fusion scan connected us. Could this be part of that? She shook her head. No, this wasn't in the original design. This was injected after. A parasite. A weapon, maybe even a countdown. Jace clenched his jaw. First, they used him to build her. Now they were using her to destroy him or worse, control him. He stood up and looked at the flashing console. The transmission had been sent. Somewhere. Out there in the stars, someone might have received their warning. But they couldn't count on a rescue. They had to make their own way out. From the open hatch, they could hear movement alien guards coordinating, scanning, searching. The city was alive with alarms. Their escape had triggered a lockdown. Illyra pulled herself up. Her body was weak, but her eyes were focused. I know a way out, she said. A maintenance route that runs beneath the hybrid nursery. It's unguarded, because they think no one can survive down there. Jace raised an eyebrow. And can we? Not for long, she said, but long enough to disappear. He didn't hesitate. Lead the way. The tunnels beneath the lab grew colder, darker, stranger. The walls here were no longer smooth metal. They pulsed with organic movement, like breathing flesh. Strange tubes snaked through the ceiling, carrying glowing fluids, sometimes red, sometimes green, sometimes black. They passed chambers filled with unfinished clones, half-formed bodies in stasis, twitching in their sleep. Limbs grew. Eyes blinked inside skulls that weren't fully shaped. This is where they grow them, Illyra said softly. Versions of you, of me, of anyone they find useful. Jace stared into one of the tanks. A child-sized figure floated. Inside it looked like him, but its eyes were open, and it was smiling. They didn't speak again until they reached a giant steel gate deep below the surface. Illyra tapped a control panel hidden in the wall. A small slot opened, revealing a fingerprint scanner. It needs my approval, she said. But once we go through, we can't turn back. Then let's go, Jace said. We're not turning back. She placed her hand on the scanner, a moment of silence. Click, the gate opened. What they saw on the other side froze them in place. A massive cavern, far beneath the alien city, stretched out in all directions. And inside it ships, dozens of them. Not alien ships, human ships, some old, some new, some completely unfamiliar. Jace stepped forward, breath caught in his chest. These are Earth military crafts. Some of them never came back. They didn't disappear, Illyra said. They were taken. Just like you. Jace walked past a row of broken transport pods. One still had a nameplate, Saber Hawk, USS Titan Recovery Crew. That mission vanished 10 years ago. He whispered. Everyone thought it was lost to a black hole. Illyra touched one of the ships, her voice low. They've been doing this longer than anyone knows. Testing, harvesting, copying. And now they're building an army. Jace added. Suddenly, The floor rumbled. A deep, slow thud echoed from above. "They found the open hatch," Alira said. "They're coming." Jay scanned the ships. Most were damaged. Some looked like shells. But one near the far end of the cavern still had power. A faint blue light blinked near its engine core. "This one," he said, pointing. "We can." "Fly it." Alira looked at him, doubtful. "You sure?" "No, but we don't have time for doubts." They sprinted toward the ship, dodging crates, broken wires, and more tanks filled with failed clones. The entrance ramp was half open. Jace climbed it first, forcing the controls until the door creaked shut behind them. Inside, the ship was dusty, old, but familiar. It was a Terran-designed military-class, mid-range cruiser. Jace had trained on a similar model years ago. He moved to the pilot seat and powered up the console. The screen flickered. Voice recognition required. Jace leaned in. "Captain Jace Ward, Earth Forces. Authorization. Hammer Protocol, Delta. Double quotes pause. Then. Welcome, Captain. Systems online." Engines HUMNED. Ely slid into the co-pilot seat beside him, her hands trembling. "You really are a soldier," she said. "Sometimes I forget." Jace replied, "But not now. Not anymore." As the ship roared to life, heavy bangs sounded on the outer hull. Alien soldiers had reached the cavern. They were fast. But Jace was faster. He flipped switches, disengaged the landing clamps, and lifted the ship off the ground. It shook. Debris flew. Pipes burst from the ceiling. But the engines held. They rose into the air, breaking through the roof of the cavern like a missile. Alarms screamed. Guards fired at them from the edges of the chamber. Too late. They were flying. The ship tore through the underground tunnels, following a launch track used long ago. Alira read out coordinates from the old system. "Exit gate ahead. Warning, magnetic field unstable." "I'll take unstable over dead," Jace said, gripping the controls. The gate opened, and the ship burst into the alien sky. The city below shrank, a glowing machine of slavery and secrets. Jace pushed the ship into orbit, breaking atmosphere. The stars spread out in every direction. Like diamonds, he had escaped, but he didn't feel free. Not yet. Alira looked out the window, her voice quiet. "We made it," Jace nodded. "Yeah, but something tells me this isn't the end." She looked down at her arm. The black vein was spreading. Faster now, and in her eyes faintly something glowed. She didn't say anything, but Jace noticed she was changing, and whatever she was becoming, it wasn't human anymore. The stars were silent. Jace Ward sat in the pilot's seat of the stolen Earth cruiser, watching the darkness outside. It had been hours since they escaped the alien city. The ship floated just beyond orbit, hidden behind the rings of a dead moon. Inside the ship, there was no peace. Only fear, and questions. In the corner of the cabin, Alira sat on the floor with her arms wrapped around herself. The black veins on her skin had spread. They glowed faintly now, like cracks in stone filled with molten light. She didn't complain. She didn't cry. But Jace could see it. Something inside her was shifting, and it terrified him. The silence between them broke when Alira whispered, "I can feel their voices in my head." Jace turned to her. "Voices? They aren't speaking with words. It's deeper, images, commands, memories that aren't mine." She looked up, eyes glowing softly. "I don't know if I'm still me." Jace knelt beside her. "You are. Whatever they did to you, whatever they put inside you, we'll find a way to fix it." Alira gave him a small smile. "You still believe that?" He nodded. "If I stop believing, they win." The ship's computer beeped. Incoming signal detected. Jace stood up fast. "Signal? From where?" The screen lit up with coordinates. "A nearby asteroid field, less than 2 light minutes away." The signal was weak, distorted, but real. Human. J. ACE narrowed his eyes. Could be a trap, he said. But if it's not, it's our first contact in days. Illyra stood beside him, her voice steadier now. If it's human, they may know. What's happening to me? Jace didn't wait. He turned the ship and flew straight toward the signal. The asteroid field was thick, filled with rocks and shattered remains of ships human and alien. A graveyard of battles no one ever talked about, hidden among the debris, was a small pod, not alien. Not machine-built. It was Earth military issue. Jace docked the ship carefully and boarded with a scanner in hand. Inside, it was cold, quiet. Power was running on emergency backup. Lights flickered overhead, and in the center of the pod, a human man sat in a chair, arms chained to the walls. He was alive. Barely. His head lifted slowly. Eyes bloodshot. Skin pale. Then he smiled. Well, that took longer than I expected. Jace raised the scanner. Name, rank, purpose. The man coughed, then chuckled. Sergeant Laren Hask, Earth Forces Research Division. Or at least I used to be, before I became, what they call a defect. Illyra stepped forward, her eyes locked on the man. You were in the trials? Oh, I was more than in them, Hask said. I helped build them. Jace froze. You worked for them? Hask nodded slowly. Not by choice. We were captured. Me and my team, scientists, engineers, some soldiers. They forced us to improve their cloning systems, enhance compatibility between alien and human genomes. He looked directly at Jace, and guess whose DNA they liked the most? Jace didn't answer. He already knew. They used your profile, Hask continued. Over and over. You were the perfect blend. Discipline, rage, survival instinct, and something else. The ability to connect. Jace stepped forward. You said you were a defect. Why? Hask leaned his head back. Because I warned one of the hybrids. I told her what she was. She broke protocol. Tried to escape, just like your friend there. He looked at Illyra. They infected her, didn't they? Jace clenched his fists. What's happening to her? Hask's voice turned grim. She's becoming a conductor. Jace blinked. A what? Hask closed his eyes. A living link. The final version. The perfect design. She's not just a hybrid anymore. She's evolving into a signal core, someone who can link to all the clones at once, control them, activate them, erase them. Illyra stepped back, horrified. No, you're not just special, Illyra, Hask said. You're central to their next step. If they capture you again, they won't even need armies. You'll be the army. Silence filled the pod. Then Jace spoke, voice steady. Can we stop it? Hask shook his head. Not alone, but there's a facility. Deep in the black zone. It holds the master control. Code the core AI. If you destroy that, you break the chain. Every clone, every signal, every backup, they all shut down. He pulled something from his boot. A chip. Small, silver, glowing. This will get you in. Jace took the chip. But it won't be easy, Hask said. They'll know you're coming the moment you use it, Jace smirked. They already know we're coming. Suddenly, Illyra screamed. She fell to her knees, clutching her head. The black veins spread across her chest, up her neck, glowing brighter now like fire under her skin. Jace rushed to her. Illyra. Her eyes snapped open. They were pure white. No, not now. She whispered. She stood slowly, but it wasn't fully her anymore. Her voice was layered hers, but deeper, distorted. Conductor prototype activated. Jace stepped back. Illyra. She looked at him, but didn't see him. Then in one sharp motion, she collapsed. Her body hit the floor with a heavy thud. Lar. Ian Hask didn't move. She's unstable. She's fighting it, but the control signal is inside her. Now, you need to decide fast. Captain, take her to the core. or leave her behind. Jace looked at Illyra, lying unconscious, and he made a choice. We take her. Back on the ship, Jace secured Illyra in a Medbay pod. The eye scanned her vitals. Her heart was racing. Brain activity was spiking. The parasite inside her was activating. Fast, Jace stared out the window, into the stars. He had one chance, one mission, one woman to save and a galaxy to warn. He turned to the ship's console and entered the coordinates from the chip. Destination locked. The final battle was waiting. And this time, humanity wasn't just fighting for freedom. They were fighting to stay human. Asterisk. Space stretched out like a cold ocean. Captain Jace Ward sat in the cockpit of the Earth cruiser, eyes locked on a dark point in the distance, so dark it seemed to eat the stars around it. The black zone. No maps showed what was inside it. No signals ever came out. But deep within it, hidden in a hollow asteroid surrounded by anti-scan tech and gravity storms, was the thing that had started it all, the control core. If they destroyed it, the entire hybrid system would collapse. The clones would fall. The mind links would fail. And most importantly, Illyra would be free, or so they hoped. Behind Jace, she lay inside the med-pod. Still unconscious, still changing. Her skin was no longer silver. It had turned a strange mixture of gray and gold, like cracked stone. The black veins now formed glowing patterns across her body, pulsing in rhythm with her heart. Every few minutes, her eyes would flicker open, but they weren't her eyes. They were white, cold, commanding. The AI would try to speak through her, give orders, and every time she would fight it, her body shook, her mind burned. But Illyra still resisted. Jace never left her side. He wasn't here to abandon anyone. He was here to finish it. The cruiser entered the black zone. The stars vanished behind thick clouds of interstellar debris. The sky turned red, then purple, then pitch black. Electric storms danced outside the ship like silent lightning. The navigation system went offline. No maps worked here, only instinct. And coordinates burned into Jace's mind. He gripped the controls, guiding the ship by hand. After 20 minutes of tense flying, they saw it. A massive asteroid, shaped like a dead heart, floating in the void. And on its surface, hidden behind rock and shadow, a metal door blinked once with red light. The core. Jace landed the ship quietly on a flat ridge. He geared up quickly. Light armor, pulse rifle, data spike. One chance was all they'd get. He walked to the Medbay and opened Illyra's pod. She looked up at him, barely awake. I heard your thoughts, she whispered. You still believe I can be saved? I don't believe, he said softly. I know, she smiled faintly. Then let's finish this. He helped her to her feet. Despite her pain, she stood tall, half human, half alien, half something else. But still her, still Illyra. They entered the core facility through a narrow tunnel carved deep into the asteroid, lit by faint red lights. There were no guards, no machines. Just silence, until the voice returned. Conductor unit detected. Welcome home. Illyra stopped. I can feel it pulling at me, she whispered. It wants to take control, fully, forever. Jace held her hand. Then we don't let it. The hallway opened into a large, circular chamber. In the center floated a dark sphere larger than any ship, held in the air by invisible force. Lights circled around it like orbiting moons. Inside the sphere, something moved. It was the AI, the heart of the system. The voice echoed again. Unit 92A, status, compatible, link ready. Illyra screamed. She dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Jace raised his weapon, aimed at the sphere. End it now, or she dies. The voice didn't respond. Instead, the sphere opened. A beam of white light shot out and pulled Illyra in. Jace shouted her name and tried to grab her hand, but she was already gone. Inside the sphere, Illyra floated in. White nothingness. The voice was now inside her mind. We can make you perfect. Free of pain, free of fear. Join us. Visions flooded her mind, millions of clones across the galaxy, all waiting for command. Power, purpose, control. And then she saw Jace in chains. On his knees, begging. The system showed her a future where she ruled and he served. But Alira wasn't built to rule. She was born twisted. Created, used, but she had chosen something else. She had chosen freedom. And now she would choose sacrifice. Outside the sphere, Jace was trying to hack into the core using the data spike Sergeant Hask had given him. The system fought back, melting wires, scrambling code, burning processors. Time was running out. And then Alira's voice filled the chamber. Not the AI, hers. Jace. He looked up. Her body appeared inside the sphere, floating with her arms out, light pouring from her chest. I found the kill switch, she said, smiling through the pain. But it's inside me. That's how they built it. Jace froze. What are you saying? I'm the code, she said. They used me as the final command line. If I die here, it erases everything. The clones, the links, the watchers, all of it. No, Jace said, shaking his head. There has to be another way. There isn't, she whispered. You know it. He stepped forward, tears in his eyes. I can't let you die. She smiled. You're not letting me die. You're setting me free. And then she closed her eyes. And let go. The sphere cracked. The lights went out. The facility shook. One by one. The orbiting lights exploded. The dark sphere pulsed once, then turned to dust. The floor split apart. Jace ran. He reached the exit, just before the entire core collapsed into itself, swallowed by its own destruction. Back on the cruiser, he took off without a word. The ship rose into space, leaving behind the ashes of a machine that once tried to rewrite humanity. And in the silence of the stars, the system died. Days passed. Jace returned to Earth orbit under disguise. The message they had sent earlier had worked. Rescue ships had started searching the sectors. Survivors were found. Labs were shut down. And the Watchers? Gone. Their network had collapsed. The prison was broken. The war was over. Jace sat on a small hill overlooking Earth from a colony station. He held something in his hand, a thin silver chain. Alira's collar. The one she once wore when she first said, I belong to you now. Now she belonged to no one, and he belonged to silence. Then footsteps. He turned. Young woman walked up the hill. She had dark blue hair, silver gray eyes, a glow beneath her skin. Jay stood slowly, heart pounding. The woman smiled. Nice view. Isn't it, Captain? His voice cracked. Alira? She nodded. They rebuilt me, she said. The part that was human. The part that fought. The part that chose you. Jay stepped forward slowly. You remember? She reached for his hand. I never forgot.